YouTube? It's your boy AT here, and we back again with another video. Okay, guys. I'm just doing this video because some people like this is just I have no words right now. I really don't. The only thing I can say is that don't let the haters tell you what you can't and cannot do, okay? And so, what do I mean by this, okay? So, rather be anything that you're good at doing, rather be anything that you're good at doing, just do it. In this case, we're talking about bodybuilding and we're talking about, you know, things like building muscle and strength, okay? Things that I'm kind of interested in, you know what I'm saying? Myself. So what I want to talk to you guys about is there's people out there, you know what I'm saying, that say that building muscle, ooh, excuse me guys, I'm sorry about that. Is impossible. You know what I'm saying? Having this, nice big physique, having this nice V taper and these big quads and huge biceps and that stuff like that is very impossible to have. And one thing that I want to tell you guys is that everything is possible. You just have to believe that it's possible. You know what I'm saying? And so for this case, man, I've been looking at a lot of videos, a couple of weeks ago, you know what I'm saying, and months ago too. I've been looking at a lot of videos about this in particular guy, which some of y'all may know, but I'm not gonna say his name because I'm not gonna give him the publicity that he doesn't deserve. You know what I'm saying? So basically, this guy in particular, you know what I'm saying, he hates on all bodybuilders and he doesn't like, all bodybuilders simply because all bodybuilders take steroids, and that's his personal opinion. You know what I'm saying? Now, a lot of it, this is one thing I can say. A lot of what he has to say is true. You know what I'm saying? There are some bodybuilders that do take steroids, and there are some people who do abuse it, PEDs and trend and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? But one thing that I want to say, man, is that, just because, a huge portion of people in this 1% group tile can do it or are doing it. Let me say this in other words. Are doing it doesn't mean that everybody else is gonna fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? Just because this portion of a small minority is doing it doesn't mean that everybody else is gonna take steroids. Okay? And so this is what I want to talk about, okay? And this has been on my mind since now. My thing is, man, you know what I'm saying? I've had many people say, "Oh, it's impossible. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this." And my whole thing is why? Why can't I not lift 500 pounds? Why can't I not be able to, deadlift a lot of things? You know what I'm saying? And it's because of their own insecurity that they can't do. They can't see themselves do it, so they want you to feel the same way about how they feel. You know what I'm saying? They want you to feel exactly how they feel. You know what I'm saying? Because since they didn't try and since they can't do it, therefore you can't fucking do it. And therefore, you know what I'm saying, everybody should just have this low expectations of themselves. You know what I'm saying? So people should stop being confident, stop having, stop believing in themselves because it's impossible to fucking do it. Because I say it's impossible to do it, and I know everybody else can't fucking do it. But and like I said before, man, and this goes back to everything. This is how a lot of these trolls think. They think just because it's impossible for them to do it means that it's impossible for everybody else to do it. And that's the part that annoys me about this, because the people who actually do try, who do actually apply themselves, who do put in the time and effort, energy to go out there, bust their ass, bust their balls, and do it, those people are told that they took steroids because everybody else wasn't able to do it. So now, since everybody else wasn't able to do it, therefore, the person that didn't take steroids, he can't do it. You know what I'm saying? And it's impossible for him to not do it. And I don't like that. I don't like that fucking attitude right there. I don't like that. Just because you weren't able to do it means that you weren't able to do it, okay? It doesn't mean that everybody else can't do it. Everybody else has potential to fucking do anything and accomplish anything they want to fucking do. So my thing is, man, and I don't get this, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these people out here, like this in particular guy that I'm talking about, he must have not trained hard enough to be able to do it, because he hates all bodybuilders. He says that all bodybuilders are trash, all bodybuilders are stupid, they train the wrong way. He says that, that the chest and shoulders aren't connected, that you can't work and and do one thing while the other thing is technically still working in the chest department, you know what I'm saying? And and that's how he thinks, you know what I'm saying? My thing is, you can say whatever you want about that, you know what I'm saying? You can say whatever you want. You can say that it doesn't work, but we know it does, you know what I'm saying? But my thing is, man, this dude, he obviously doesn't like bodybuilders. A lot of people hate bodybuilders because they think that it's impossible to fucking do it. And my thing is, man, it is to some degree. This is one thing I can say about the thing. It is if you don't have that drive or willpower to do it. So if you don't strive for greatness, if you don't actually try and train harder to do it. And another thing I want to say is, if you don't try to get to your ultimate maximum potential to lift heavier weights, you're never gonna fucking be able to get there. And a lot of people just give up because it's impossible. They train for 2 or 3 months and they say, fuck it, I tried, it's hard, I'm gonna give up. A lot of people say that because and they want everybody else to believe that it's impossible for them, because they try to build strength or whatever, and then for people who build it up for decades, who built their strength up, that took them a decade to build muscle and strength, they want to sit up there and say that those people took steroids. And it's sad, because my whole thing is this, man. If bodybuilders from the past were able to do it naturally, and I'm not talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm not talking about, bodybuilders like Franco Colombo and Lou Ferrigno and Robbie Robinson and Frank Zane. I'm not talking about those guys, okay? Or did I already say Frank Zane? I don't remember. I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about bodybuilders like Sandow and George Hackenschmidt, and from the Bronze era bodybuilding, and bodybuilding from the Silver era like Steve Reeves and Marvin Eder and Leroy Colbert. I'm talking about those types of bodybuilders right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the late 1800s all the way down to like the 1940s. You know what I'm saying? The early 1940s, before steroids became a big thing. If they were able to do it, why can't we do it? You know what I'm saying? And that's my whole thinking right there. And the reason why people think it's impossible to do it is because everybody nowadays are looking at bodybuilding as a one-dimensional thing. They're not looking at it as a 3 or 4 dimensional thing. They're looking at it as a sheet of paper. like a square, instead of just looking at it in the logistical lens like a cube. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not just only one thing, it's many variables to it. And so a lot of people think that it's impossible because they're looking at this a sheet of paper, this flat surface. You know what I'm saying? They're looking at this. They're not looking at a cube. Like my block, for example. They're not looking at something that's like something like that. And I'm gonna explain why they're looking at it like that. The reason why people are looking at bodybuilding as a flat sheet of paper is simply because a lot of people think it's impossible for them to do it. And what do I mean by that? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think that bodybuilders just need steroids. Bodybuilders are too overly big and huge or whatever. And that, and that it's not feasible to be able to have that type of body, which is true if you're not training hard enough. And if you have low expectations of yourself and what you can do. Some people have low expectations of themselves. They don't think they can fucking do it. But if you train for decades, you're able to do anything. You know what I'm saying? If you train at the sport for decades at a time and you keep on applying yourself, you're going to be able to do it. A lot of people think that, oh, it should take me 3 months to do this. You know what I'm saying? But little do you know that's not how that works. You know what I'm saying? Because if the world worked that way, where you could just gain muscle in a day, in a week, or a month, you know what I'm saying? Everybody would be bodybuilders right now, but that's not how the world works. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody can be a bodybuilder, not everybody can be a strongman, and not everybody can be a gymnast. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has to be built for those types of sports. You have to train really hard for it. It's just like riding a bicycle or drawing or anything else. You have to train. It takes years. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take a month to do it. It takes years, you know what I'm saying, to do it. And so everybody's looking at it as a logistical standpoint because they think it's impossible. They look at it as one-dimensional thing, but they're not looking at it at a whole logistical standpoint. Because yes, it's true that there's bodybuilders out there that take steroids. Yes, it's true that bodybuilders have died from taking steroids and died from other, complications. You know what I'm saying? And so there is many different things that contribute to that one sheet of paper, and everybody's looking at it as that one point. But what about the cube? What about the one that I'm talking about? Well, first of all, I'm gonna talk about the cube. You know what I'm saying? Because we already talked about the sheet of paper where everybody thinks it's impossible. Now let's talk about the cube. Now, why do I think it's possible? Well, for one reason why I think it's possible and why everybody could do it is because back then, everything was all raw material. You know what I'm saying? Everything was raw. Everything was worked on. It was like steampunk-esque during that time period. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have the equipment that we had then. We didn't have, the technology, the stuff like that. We didn't have steroids back in that time period. And so a lot of people were eating things differently and they were doing things differently. You know what I'm saying? So strongmen like Sandow and George Hackenschmidt, you know what I'm saying, that became bodybuilders and, power lifters and, and strongmen during that time period, those men worked really hard on their bodies. It wasn't just only one thing. And some of those strong men back in that time period, some of those guys were even, if you do your research on this, some of these guys were wrestlers back in that time period. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they were power lifters and, strong men, but some of those guys were wrestlers and some of them went on to do even boxing even. You know what I'm saying? And so, it's not possible just because you look at it at one lens, which is only a sheet of paper, which is only one um floor up. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at it at one lens doesn't mean it's gonna be totally different in another lens. Some of these bodybuilders during that time period, that's what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? They were doing different things then. They were eating different, they were eating clean. And I forgot to mention, during that time period, bodybuilders were lifting up horses. They were lifting up horses. They were lifting up big wagons with people on them. They were lifting up, and I'm talking about strong men. You know what I'm saying? Not bodybuilders in particular, but some of them were bodybuilders. Bodybuilding wasn't even around in the late 1800s. Bodybuilding wasn't made until like the 1910s, like when it became official. You know what I'm saying? But the first bodybuilder to ever have existed was Sandow and George Hackenschmidt. Those are one of the bodybuilders that existed during that time period. You know what I'm saying? And so, and the thing is, people discredit bodybuilding, but there's exercises that were made during that time period that people still use today. For example, the bench press. Who do you think made that? George Hackenschmidt. You know what I'm saying? And people still use it to this very day. He invented the bench press. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just disqualify bodybuilding and say that, oh, it's only one-dimensional sport and nobody can't do nothing else after that. No, you can't just disqualify that. There's many different ways of doing bodybuilding. There's many different things. And that's the thing, man. So if you're disqualifying bodybuilding for good, then you're disqualifying many different areas of bodybuilding that's in this big cube. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You're looking at it as a one sheet of paper. You're not looking at it as a cube. And so my thing is, man, bodybuilding is a cube. It's not a flat piece of paper. It's not that. There's different ways of doing something. There's different ways at being better at something. You know what I'm saying? And so, and because the thing is, once you're better at that one thing, you could do anything at that point. You know what I'm saying? And so when we talk about now, you know what I'm saying? And it's just sad now because people think, and people really do think it's sad and funny at the same time. People think that if you train hard and that you do better than them, that you took steroids. They literally think that. And that's the sad reality of how this world is. Everybody literally thinks that. Oh, you did better than me? You took steroids. Like, that's how people think. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because I did better you at something doesn't mean that I took steroids. It just means that I applied myself and I tried even harder. You know what I'm saying? I used my mental toughness to not give up at a workout. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I did everything to boost my strength. I put on way more muscle. Yeah, I did all of that, but I'm still trying. You know what I'm saying? I haven't given up at anything that I've done. You know what I'm saying? And so why should you? You know what I'm saying? That's my question. And so a lot of people give up because they think it's impossible. They try for like a month or whatever, which isn't enough time, and they just give up. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not seeing the results in their body. You know what I'm saying? They see all the newbie gains and stuff. So when they see all the newbie gains, they get so upset because it's not what they want. And it's not about what you want. It's about sticking to the process and working your way up because to the 10th year you make it. The 10th or 12th year when you make it. When you finally make it to that 10th or 12th year, that's the reward right there. Having that big muscular body is a reward that you worked hard for. You trained intensely, you worked hard for it, and you basically, that's basically your reward right there. So stop saying that it's impossible. Just because it's impossible for you doesn't mean it's going to be impossible for everybody else. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to affect my placebo. You're not going to affect the will that God gave me. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to do that. You're not going to let my wheels go backwards and affect my willpower. You know what I'm saying? I'm a lantern and I'm gonna keep on going. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep on going until I fucking make it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep on trying until I make it. So why should I give up at doing what I love doing? Why should I give up, whether it be drawing, whether it be lifting weights, or potentially competing in bodybuilding or any other form of exercise, just to be told that you can't do it because it's impossible for me? People aren't going to say that. They're never going to say that. They're just going to say, don't do it because it's impossible. They're going to look at you. Oh, you don't need to be lifting all that. Wait, why not? Why can't I? Oh, because you're going to have health problems. You're going to have this. You're going to have that. Okay. What about the health problems? Well, if you don't do it naturally, well, who says I'm going to be on steroids? Huh? Who says I'm going to be on steroids? You know what I'm saying? Like, who says I'm going to have health problems? Well, you're lifting up too much weight. You're doing too much. Well, what if I strengthen my joints? You know what I'm saying? And so stuff like that, man. And this exercise is in strengthening your joints and being able to lift up weights. You know what I'm saying? And there's many people who have done it. Many great bodybuilders, many great people have done it. And so why do I have to give up as something that I didn't even try yet or that I didn't even make it to yet? Why should I give up? Why? It's my question to a lot of people that think it's impossible. Why should I give up? You know what I'm saying? Just because it's impossible for you? No, it's possible for you. You have to want it. You have to really want it. And if you don't try hard enough, if you don't take the 10 years or 12 years or 20 years, however long it takes you to do it, then you really don't want it. You don't want it. You just want to sit up there and tell people what they can and cannot do. You know what I'm saying? You don't want it. You really don't want it. Because how can you want something, but you insult people and tell them that it's impossible for them to do it? It's impossible for them to do it naturally. It's impossible to lift heavier weights when you didn't even try. You know what I'm saying? And so that's one thing about it too, man. It's possible. You have to really want it. You have to want it badly. You have to want it. You can't just, back out, you know what I'm saying? Back down and just give up just because you did it for 3 months. No, you have to keep on pushing. A lot of people don't want to push. They want to give up. They feel sorry for themselves. And a lot of people just act like bitches a lot of time. They act like a bitch a lot of time because they don't want to try. They don't want to try. People just automatically think, oh, you just took steroids, so therefore you didn't really try. Well, no. If I did take steroids, I would still have to keep on doing bodybuilding. I would still have to take years. It would still take years to fucking do it. So even if I was on PEDs or tests, it would still take longer to do it still. You get what I'm saying? So you have to be way consistent at the gym. You have to work really hard and smart at the gym while lifting weights. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people, that's what they say. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people sit up there and say it's impossible. And so yes, you know what I'm saying? Even if you do take steroids, you're going to have to train your ass off to get those muscles. What's funny is a lot of people think that, oh, bodybuilders don't do anything. They don't do this. They don't do that. How do they have muscles and stuff like that? They train hard for it. You know what I'm saying? To gain a lot of massive amounts of muscle. You know what I'm saying? And so my thing is, even without steroids or whatever, they would still have a lot of muscle. You know what I'm saying? They would still have muscle. The only thing is, I don't condone taking steroids. I prefer doing it the natural way because I think it's wrong to fucking take it. You know what I'm saying? In my personal opinion, I think it's wrong. Because not only will it decrease your life expectancy to live, you know what I'm saying? It will mess up your body, insides of your body, as well as your outsides. You're not gonna look right. And so with steroids, it decreases your longevity and it decreases your life to live. And that's the flat sheet of paper that everybody sees. You know what I'm saying? But nobody's looking at the three-dimensional sheet of paper. Yes, it can be this way, but what about this? Nobody's looking at that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's looking at it like that. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the thing that I don't understand, man. And so the thing is, man, you don't have to take steroids. You can go the other path. You can go the natural path, which will take you decades to gain more muscle and more strength. You know what I'm saying? It may take you forever to do it, which you have to be willing to if you really want it. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't try, then you don't really want it. You don't really want it because, you know, a lot of people say they want something. Oh, I wish I had muscles right now, but you have to really want it. You have to be willing to go to the gym and put in time and effort and energy to do it. It's not something that you can half-ass and say, oh, I tried, I gave up. No, you have to fucking keep on doing it. You know what I'm saying? Don't just do it for a month and stop just because you have newbie gains and because you don't want to look the way you want to look. And, and so you decide to take steroids to do it. No, you don't have to do it. Just, it takes consistency and time. You know what I'm saying? Because by the time you finish all that, all those years, all that time, guess what? Guess what? You're going to finally make it to your dream physique. You're going to finally gain strength. Are you going to feel good? No. At that point in time, you're not going to feel good. Your legs are going to be sore. Your arms are going to be hurting. Everything about your body is going to be hurting. But your body is thick, though. You know what I'm saying? You have the body of a Kryptonian. You know what I'm saying? You have the body of something that you never had before. You know what I'm saying? And so when you make it, you finally make it, man. And so why should you give up, man? That's my only question about that, though. You know, and one thing I didn't get a chance to talk about is the longevity aspects of natural bodybuilding. There's been plenty of bodybuilders in the silver era or, you know, bronze era who lived for a very, very long time. You know what I'm saying? Who made it well beyond their 90s and their 80s and 90s. And nobody's not talking about that. Nobody's not talking about how Marvin Eder made it to 90 and died in 2020. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's not talking about Leroy Colbert. He died in 2013 at age 83. Nobody's talking about that. You know what I'm saying? It's sad. Everybody's looking at it at a one-dimensional thing that it must be one way. That you have to take steroids and die young. No, you know, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be that way. Just because the Mr. Olympia is really strict doesn't mean that bodybuilding has to be that way. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can go down the path of being a natural bodybuilder. You don't need steroids. You know what I'm saying? You can compete against people who are on steroids, who are on trend, and beat every single last one of them. Yeah, it may look impossible, but as long as you eat a lot of food, put on more calories, and lift weights and stuff, because for me, I need to eat more calories, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm still relatively skinny, you know what I'm saying? Then guess what? I'll be able to get there. You know what I'm saying? Now, for a guy who's already big, you know what I'm saying? Eat less calories, work out more. You know what I'm saying? Eat less food. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get there. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, that's just all I got to say, man. You know, it's definitely possible. You don't need steroids to get there. You know what I'm saying? And one bodybuilder that competed against bodybuilders that were on steroids, when there's a couple of bodybuilders that did it. No one talks about Ronnie Coleman. Nobody talks about how he used to be how he used to be natural. Even when he tried, everybody still thought he was on steroids. Everybody claimed that he was on steroids. But when in the late 90s, I mean I said late 90s, early 90s, in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, he wasn't on steroids. You know what I'm saying? And everybody assumed that he was on it. You know what I'm saying? All the and then when he finally took steroids, he blew up like a puffer fish. You know what I'm saying? And nobody's talking about Phil Heath before he took steroids. Nobody talks about bodybuilders like Jay Cutler before he took steroids. When he was beating when Ronnie was beating his ass, when Ronnie was taking steroids, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's talking about that. You know what I'm saying? How bodybuilders do try. They only look at it as a one-dimensional thing that bodybuilders must take this in order to be great. And you don't need to take that to be great. You know what I'm saying? You already are great. People just need to use what they have and work harder. You know what I'm saying? Work twice as hard. You know what I'm saying? And so for him, they didn't want to give Jay Cutler the medal. They didn't want to give it to him. These judges are just, and the reason why is because Ronnie was bigger than him. And it was hard back then. He had to take steroids, which he didn't have to do. If I was Jay Cutler, I would have just given up. You know what I'm saying? I probably would have went, I probably would have did a different route. But if Jay Cutler never took steroids, he would have never been able to beat Ronnie Coleman or beat Mr. Olympia. You know what I'm saying? And so it's very difficult to be a bodybuilder. People need to look at it at a logistical standpoint. You know what I'm saying? It's very difficult. But at the same time, to completely just say that it's useless, that's a lie, because you're not looking at it at a three-dimensional standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Bodybuilders can do this. You know what I'm saying? They can also wrestle. They can also box. They can also do all these other things. People aren't looking at their bronze era of how things used to be. They're looking at it. Nobody's not looking at everything from the late 1800s all the way to the 1920s. Nobody's looking at it like that. So, people aren't looking at it how bodybuilding used to be, man. So, yeah, man. And so it is very difficult, but a lot of people just don't have it in them to try or do great things. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to be willing to try and strive to be great. You know what I'm saying? Don't fucking half-ass it. You know what I'm saying? And say that you did. You didn't fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? You probably did it for a month and gave up and tried again a year later and got mad. And some of y'all know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm still talking about that guy that's talking trash about bodybuilders. Some of y'all know who I'm talking about, but he probably just did it for 3 months, gave up, and then did something else, did martial arts, and then lifted up weights a little bit, and now he got mad. Now he found another area, and now he's mad at bodybuilders because bodybuilders tried and he didn't. And so therefore he can beat up every bodybuilder, which is true. You can beat up every bodybuilder, but you'll be wasting your time doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking to specifically him. And he knows some of y'all know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? You're just going to be wasting your time. You're going to be wasting your time and energy doing it. It's not even worth fighting this guy, like, for what? Only because you didn't try hard enough. You gave up before the war ended. You only fought a fucking battle. You didn't even fight the whole entire war. You didn't even conquer or try. You just gave up on one battle. The 3 months, that's only a fucking battle. What about 10 decades? What about not 10 decades? What about 3 decades? What about 4 decades? What about that? You actually trying. You being a fucking warrior and toughening everything out. What about that? You didn't try anything. You didn't try to get strong, but you found your other way. You gave up in this other area. Yeah, you gave up on being physically strong and having an aesthetic body. and you went with the boxing route and the martial arts route, yes, but just because you do that doesn't mean you get mad at somebody for having a different opinion than you do. You get what I'm saying? So just because somebody has a different opinion doesn't mean that their opinion is bad. It just means that they have another way of doing it. And so when people try to say that, oh, you shouldn't do this because you're stupid for doing it, what? So you're stupid. So I'm stupid for trying something that I know that I can fucking do, and that I know it's gonna be hard for me to do. I spit a little bit. Sorry, guys. But yet you're gonna give up and blame everybody else that does try and say that everybody else is on steroids because you gave up. You didn't even try. You just you tried one battle. You just gave up. Oh fuck, it's useless. I'm just gonna give up. I'm gonna try this. Oh, I'm better at this. In y'all's faces. Y'all bad, y'all trash. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just discredit something just because you're bad at something, man. And so yeah, man. That's not how that works. You know what I'm saying? You can't just do that. You have to look at something at a full logistical standpoint and a realistic standpoint too, man. And so he's not looking at it at a logistical standpoint. And this man literally worships. Some of y'all know this guy, but he worships an MMA fighter and says he has the most aesthetic body in the world. Like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? He's an MMA fighter. You know what I'm saying? And so yes, MMA fighters have, good. Some of them have good physiques, but a lot of them have average, everyday looking physiques that normal people can just get. You know what I'm saying? So and some of those guys push themselves too. I don't discredit MMA fighters. I think that a lot of those guys, they do a whole bunch of cardio, but it doesn't equate to it being muscle. You know what I'm saying? Because cardio burns a little bit of fat. It burns, and one thing that I can agree with you on, and he knows what I'm talking about if he's watching this video. I can say that cardio does burn fat, yes, a little bit, but it does it temporarily. You know what I'm saying? And that you can lift up weights to gain more muscle, more strength. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, man, don't discredit something that you don't know nothing about. Like, you're only looking at it only at a one logistical standpoint, but what about a three-dimensional cube? You're not looking at it as a cube. You're looking at it as a sheet of paper. And for people, and you calling everybody else stupid because you're looking at it as a flat sheet of paper. You're not looking at something as a Rubik's Cube. You know what I'm saying? There's more to one thing than it meets the eye. That one thing, you can do anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, those people do steroids, but what about a time where nobody was doing it? What can we do now? What can we do from the past that we can stick with now? You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, man. So that's all I really wanted to say, you guys, man. I know I made this long video ranting. I know I made this long video ranting and telling y'all my truths though, but it's not impossible. It's definitely possible. You have to be willing to try and do it. You have to do it. You can't half-ass something and say that, oh, I did it. You didn't do it. You did only one thing for a month. You know what I'm saying? You only trained for about a month and you gave up already just because it's impossible. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're not good at it, but you can't sit up there and say that it's bad and that nobody should do it if you failed at it. You know what I'm saying? Or you didn't even try it. You know what I'm saying? You didn't even try it, and so you just gave up. And so that's my thing. My thing is, I think MMA is a good sport. I think, well, not really. I don't think it's a good sport because people suffer a lot of brain injuries and have issues and stuff. But a lot of those guys, and some of those guys, are fucked up right now. It's a really brutal sport, very violent at times. But I think the exercises that they do is healthy. You know You know what I'm saying? I think the exercise that anybody should do is healthy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the cardio exercises, rather be pushing, push-ups, punching the air, running around, like doing footwork and stuff like that. That stuff is good for you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that stuff is good for you. And I think those are the basic fundamentals of being good. So yeah. Um yeah. So yeah, guys, if y'all like this video, you know, please like and subscribe and share. And like I said before, man, y'all can do it. Don't let nobody say that y'all can't do it and saying and telling you that's impossible. You can do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to half-ass something. You know what I'm saying? Peace.